Repeat.
Yes, ma'am. It started on 7th, but I went to school from 14th, so I missed the first week.
Okay. And what are the teaching and biology portion?
They're doing the living world and the bodily fluids in circulation. Two different teachers.
Living world they have done, and then they started the body fluids and circulation.
No, ma'am. Two different teachers.
Oh, two different teachers are teaching two different things.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I am also going to start the living world only with you. Okay. So when we talk about
Okay.
the living world, this chapter consists of all the things that there is to know with respect to what can you call as living and what can you call as dead. Right now, obviously, there are certain things that makes anything be considered as like living and considered as dead. So what are those things and how can we say that any organism, if it is a living organism, how can we say that it is living? So there are some characteristics that makes an organism be considered as a living organism. And the main characteristics are growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, and consciousness. Okay, these are some features that are the defining features of life. Okay, if these things are present in the organism, then we can say that the organism is living. If not, the organism is dead. So, those characteristics which have no exception is called as defining property of life. Meaning it's like there's no condition for it. It has to be there. For example, like metabolism. Now, metabolism, it's basically all the chemical reaction that takes place inside our body. So, the chemical reaction, they have to take place without any exception. So, that is a defining property of life. Clear? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, see, amongst all of that, the growth and the reproduction, they cannot be strictly considered like a defining property. Why? Because there are certain reasons. For example, what is growth? Now, if you think about growth, it is the permanent increase in either the size or the length or the number, right? That is what growth is. It is the overall increase in the mass or the size of tissue or organism or its part, right? And this is a permanent change. Like if any organism grows, they can't grow back to the smaller size, right? It's like a permanent change. So increase in mass and increase in number are the twin characteristics of growth. It is an irreversible, permanent increase in size of the organ or its parts or even of an individual cell, right? It's irreversible and it is permanent. Now, depending upon how does the growth takes place, the growth is of two types: intrinsic growth and extrinsic growth. Now, if I say that non-living things can also grow, will you believe me?
No.
Why? Why will you not believe me?
It's not
Justify.
possible.
It's not possible. Okay. See, the first kind of growth is intrinsic growth. Okay, here the growth is taking place from inside the body of the living organism. This is how we grow, right? So this is intrinsic. The word intrinsic means inside. Now moving forward, when we talk about extrinsic, for example, there is this table, okay, and on this table you've kept a box. Now you've measured the length of the box with the help of a ruler or whatever. Okay. Now you left that box on this table for, let's just say, 1 year. Okay, 1 year. So what will happen in 1 year? There will be a lot of dust accumulation on the box, right? So now when you measure the box length, will it increase or like remain the same? If you think about the whole entire total thing, it will increase. But the box is not growing. So which kind of growth it is? It is extrinsic growth, meaning the growth that takes place from the outside of the body of the organism. So accumulation of material on any body surface. So non-living exhibits this type of growth. So growth is there. And extrinsic means from the outside. It doesn't mean that the non-living thing is living. It still means that the living thing is like non-living thing is dead only, obviously. But the growth is of two types. So intrinsic and extrinsic growth are clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now further, the intrinsic growth, it is of two types. Now, if I tell you to compare your growth as a human to the growth of the plant, how would you differentiate? How is it different?
It takes more time for like humans to grow. There's a lot of stages, but for plants, it's just it buds and just grows tall.
Okay, that is a very good difference. Other than that, anything else?
No,
See, do we grow all our life?
yes.
Huh? Humans grow all
So
their
if we
life.
grow old,
No, growing in age is a different thing. But growing in terms of heights, it's a different thing. Getting my
no.
point? So when we talk
Yes,
about
yes.
the indeterminate growth, the unlimited growth, see, intrinsic growth is of two types, indeterminate and determinate. Okay. So two types of
Yes.
growth are there. Indeterminate growth is when the growth takes place throughout the organism's life. And that occurs in the case of plants because we know that the plants, they keep on living throughout. Okay. Samhita, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Hello, Samhita, am I audible to you? So that is one kind of growth, that is indeterminate growth. Then comes determinate growth, meaning the growth that is fixed, meaning it will happen but only up till a certain time. Please unmute yourself and speak. Yeah, unmute yourself and switch on your video. So the first type of characteristic that we are considering for the living organism, it is the growth. And the growth is of two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Now the intrinsic growth further is of two types, indeterminate, that is unlimited. It is not fixed, it keeps on happening and mostly it takes place in the case of plants. The determinate growth, it is a limited growth. Here, it only takes place up until a certain stage, like in animals, like in us humans also. We grow up till an age, right? And then we stop growing. We don't grow in height, right? All the other kind of divisions will happen in our body. But that is to replace the old cells and to bring the new cells, but that won't help us grow in terms of height. So that is the determinate growth. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the next is reproduction. Now reproduction is the process in which the new individual is like basically formed from the parent individual, right? So production of new individual or progeny is what we call as reproduction. Now the process of reproduction, it is responsible for continuation of life. But imagine one thing, for example, there is let's just say an organism that cannot reproduce. Okay, meaning they are infertile, sterile. So do you think that it will be considered as dead?
No, ma'am.
No. So reproduction, in case of multicellular organism, it is the production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to those of the parents. Now, reproduction in the case of unicellular, now you already know the like the binary fission and everything. Here, the cell divides into two daughter cells, right? And that is how it happens. So in them, the reproduction and growth are the same thing, because this whole entire organism only is getting split into two parts, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But this process of reproduction is obviously not found in any living organism, non-living organism. They cannot reproduce. But again, there are many living organisms also that are not able to reproduce, like mules. Mules are sterile. They cannot reproduce. There are many infertile couples, right? Humans also, there are many infertile humans. They cannot make a baby, but that doesn't mean that they are dead, right? Worker honeybees, they are also sterile. So this is the very reason why reproduction, yes, we know that it is important as far as the continuation of life is concerned, but it is not to be taken as a defining property of life. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you already know that reproduction, it's of two types, asexual and sexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is when it is the uniparental kind of reproduction, wherein no gametes are formed, no fusion of gametes take place, nothing of that sort happens. Whereas the sexual reproduction is when the gametes are formed, the gametes are fused, and it's not uniparental. Both the parents are involved in the reproduction, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, so reproduction can happen by asexual spores, it can happen by budding, fragmentation, all of these things that you have already studied in class 10, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that like all of these things happen. These are the methods of asexual reproduction. Now, regeneration and everything, do you need me to revise all of this or you remember?
We can revise.
Asexual spores, these are used in the case of algae and fungi. So they use the asexual spores for reproduction. Budding takes place in yeast and hydra. Then fragmentation. It takes place mostly in the filamentous algae such as the spirogyra. Right. So it takes place in the spirogyra, which breaks into certain fragments upon maturation, and each of those fragments grows into a new organism. Then by true regeneration. Regeneration is a great property wherein the organism can regenerate the lost part of its body, like planaria. If you cut it into three parts, each of those three parts are going to develop into the whole organism. So that is what happens. And regeneration is also seen, like not only in planaria, it is seen in starfishes also, it is seen in lizards also. So this was one type of reproduction. The other type of reproduction is sexual reproduction, wherein the gametes are formed by the meiotic division and then the fertilization takes place so that the zygote could form, and that is sexual reproduction. So reproduction, yes, it is considered as one of the factors, but it is not a defining property because there are many organisms that are sterile, but we don't call them as dead. We call them as living organisms. So growth and reproduction, they are not strictly the parameters to find out whether the organism is living or dead. Clear?
Yes.
Then comes metabolism. Now, metabolism refers to all of the chemical reactions that are taking place inside our body, right? This cannot happen outside, like how it does inside our body. All organisms, whether it is the unicellular as well as the multicellular, they exhibit metabolism. But non-living objects, they cannot show metabolism. So we can say 100% that metabolism, it is indeed defining property of life. Now, the isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of the organism, it's like you can do this in the laboratory conditions also, but this will not be considered as living. So definitely Metabolism is a defining feature that takes place inside the body of the living organism and inside the cell of the unicellular organisms. Clear? So all the plants, all the animals, fungi, and all the microbes, they all have like metabolism taking place in their bodily structures. Then comes cellular organization. Now, if you remember from class 9, we say that cell is the fundamental unit of life, isn't it? Meaning, if any organism is not made up of cell, then we like 100% would say that that organism is not living. All the organism, whether it is plants, humans, animals, microorganisms, every single living organism is made up of cells. So we say that the cellular organization, meaning the arrangement of the cells or the fact that they are made up of cell, it is one of the defining property. So those organisms that are made up of single cell, we call them as unicellular organisms. And the ones that are made up of multiple cells, we call them as multicellular organisms. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, you note down till here, then we'll move forward. You can switch off your video and write down comfortably.
Okay, ma'am.
Samhitha, are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Am I audible to you? Are you facing some sort of internet issues? Like, are you not able to hear me? Yes or no? Samhitha? Is your device connected to some sort of earphone or something of that sort? Try to unmute yourself. Like it will be in the bottom section. There is this column that says unmute or audio. So you can click on that, the mic icon. That will help you unmute. I'm sending request from this side also. It's okay, no problem. You can rejoin. Hmm.
I'm done, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. Okay, now you are able to unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So I was teaching the first chapter, that is living organism. So in your school, which chapter is currently going on?
Ma'am, Cell the Unit of Life. We completed the chapter today.
Oh, cell chapter is completed.
Yes, ma'am. We started with that.
Okay, okay. So I have started with the beginning. Is it fine with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Or would you like me to, start the cell chapter with you?
No, ma'am, that's fine.
Okay. So up until now, I have discussed that there are certain characteristics that makes an organism, like you can say, be called as a living organism. Okay, those we say are the defining features of the living organism. Okay, defining features. So when we talk about the defining features, right in front of you, you see the examples: growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness. All of these would be considered as those characteristic features. So we are going to see one by one how are they going to influence whether the organism can be considered as living or not. So those characteristics which have no exception at all, is called as the defining property of life. Now, we say that, like, even though we have, included growth and reproduction in the list, but the growth and the reproduction, these are not strictly the defining property. Whereas the metabolism, the cellular organization, consciousness, these are all the defining property of life. Now, the first one is growth. Now, when we talk about the growth, it is the overall increase in the mass or the size of the organism. It's like a permanent, irreversible increase, right? So, in any part of the body, any organ, or the whole entire body, it's like a permanent increase in the size, right? So, that is what growth is. Now, depending upon whether the growth is taking place from the inside or from the outside, the growth is of two types: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic means when the growth takes place from the inside of the body of living organism, and this is one of the most important defining property. We grow. Why we grow? Because there are certain reactions, there are certain divisions that are taking place inside the body, as a result of which we grow. Then comes extrinsic growth. Now, extrinsic growth is the growth that takes place from the outside. So imagine accumulation of dust on any non-living material also can be considered as growth, because if you measure the length, so once it has accumulated the dust on it, it will look like it has grown. So extrinsic growth can also be found in non-living things, because imagine accumulation. That's it. Okay, is it clear? Hmm? Also, Samhitha, you can switch on your video. Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the intrinsic growth further is of two types: indeterminate and determinate. Indeterminate means unlimited growth, meaning the growth will take place throughout the life of the organism, throughout the lifespan. So it occurs in the case of plants. If you see the tall trees, some trees are so tall that you can't even see the top of them. Why? Because they keep on growing all their life. But if you think about us humans or animals, we grow for a certain period of time and then we stop growing, right? So that is called as a determinate growth or the limited growth, which takes place only in the case of animals. And in our body, it's not that once we stop growing, no division will happen in our body. No, cell division will take place, because in our body, the different cells, they'll die. So they have to be replaced by new cells. So for that very reason, the cell division will take place. So we can't say that the growth is a defining property, but we say that intrinsic growth is found in the living organism and extrinsic growth can be seen in the non-living organisms as well. Now, when we talk about reproduction, so reproduction, all of you know that it is the process wherein new progeny or new offsprings are made from the previously existing parents. Now, the reproduction is very important as far as the continuation of life is concerned. It will continue the generation, it will continue the species. Now, reproduction in the case of multicellular organism, it is the production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to the parents, right? Giving rise to the young one. They are actually the copies of the parents, not exact copies, but they are. But when you talk about unicellular organism, I hope you people remember binary fission. What did we see in binary fission? That one cell only was splitting up into two daughter cells, right? And so imagine if this cell is there and this cell only got half and made two daughter cell. So in one way, you can say that the unicellular organisms, they are immortal, isn't it? Because it'll like further these two cells will divide, further they will divide. So a reproduction in the case of unicellular organisms such as bacteria or unicellular algae or amoeba, it is basically increase in the number of cells. It means that in the case of unicellular organism, the growth and reproduction are almost synonymous to each other, right? It's the same thing. Even if they'll grow, what will happen? They'll have more number of cells, and same goes for their reproduction. But this reproduction is a property which cannot be found in the non-living objects or the non-living things. But again, if we see and talk about reproduction, there are many organisms that cannot reproduce, such as the mules or the infertile or the sterile human couples, worker bees. They cannot, you can produce the offspring, but that doesn't mean that they are considered as dead. They are still considered as the living organism. Now, from class 10th also, if you remember, reproduction is of two types, asexual and sexual reproduction. So, asexual reproduction, it is the uniparental reproduction in which no gamete formation or fusion or anything is involved. It's the most basic, simple type, which takes place by asexual spores, by budding, by fragmentation, by true regeneration. All of these things you people have already studied in class 10th, right? And same goes for the sexual reproduction. It is biparental, right? It takes place when both the parents have to be involved, the gametes are formed, and the fusion of gametes takes place in order to form the zygote. So this is how the sexual reproduction happens. And reproduction is a very, you can say, unique property to living organism. But yet again, because there are some examples of sterility in infertile couples, so we can't say that it is a defining property. Any doubts up until now, students?
No,
Ma'am.
All right, okay. Now you people can note down till here, then we'll move forward. Now, Nabila, you have written up until now. Samhitha, you write, and then we'll continue. Okay.
Ma'am, you can scroll. Ma'am, you can scroll down. Ma'am, you can scroll. Ma'am, I completed this.
I'm done now. Just like
Both of you are done?
Yes, ma'am.
that.
Yes, both of you are done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so now we are going to see one more thing for which you people have to switch on your videos. Second. Both of you switch on your videos quickly. All right. Okay, Samhitha, you also switch on your video. Yes, quickly, quickly. Am I audible to you, Samhita? Hello. Nabila, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Okay, Samhita, please switch on a video. Samhita, am I audible? Yes or no? Please respond. All right. Okay, so in front of you, you see some questions which you people have to answer orally, and I will see like how much of your base is clear or not from class 10. Okay, so the first question is, what are life processes occurring in human beings? So whatever you know about it, you speak. Yes, Nabila, speak.
Life processes, it carries of different processes such as the growth
Such
and
as?
growth is a
Speak, speak,
process.
speak. Yes, Samita, you also switch on your video. You also have to answer these questions.
Ma'am, life processes are nutrition, digestion,
Switch
excretion.
on your video. Switch on your video. Both of you keep your videos on and then you answer. Okay, Nabila, complete.
That I will not.
Hmm? And see, for all those questions where you people don't know the answer, you can say that we don't know. Okay. That's also a choice. All right. The next question is, explain the importance of small intestine.
Ma'am, the small
The small
intestine.
intestine.
One by one. Okay, one by one. Samita, you go.
Ma'am, the small intestine helps in the complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats.
Okay. All right, Nabila.
It helps down breaking food organisms. It
Hmm.
helps in excreting items as well, unwanted items.
What do you mean by fluid connective tissues? Give example. Which is the fluid connective tissue? Anyone?
Blood,
Ma'am, blood.
Very good. Blood. And anything else?
limb,
Ma'am, limb.
Lymph. Very good. All. So what is the function of producers in our ecosystem?
producers are the first steps of the ecosystem in the chart of food webs and other. So it's
Can you give the
where
example of
everything.
a producer?
Um,
What is the example
it's
of a
grass, like
plants? Not just
this.
grass, all the
Yeah.
plants. That anything you would like to add to it, Samhitha?
Ma'am, they produce food by themselves. They're autotrophs.
They are autotrophs. Anything else? No. Okay, what do you mean by a phenotype?
It is the physical type of gene we
It is
can
the
understand in physical
physical what?
property.
Physical type of
The
gene.
physical, no, like the physical property used to classify different
Uh,
for
can you give me
experiments
any
of
example of a phenotype?
hybridization. The pea plant, we did the phenotype and genotype where it was the shape of it, wrinkled and round, and the colors of it,
Mhm.
green
Okay.
and yellow.
Samhita, you don't know the answer to this question?
It is the outward characteristics of an organism.
Mhm. What else? What else can you say about it? Okay, next question. What is transpiration? Answer quickly, students.
The flow of
Ma'am,
water.
Say, Samhita, you speak.
transpiration is the removal of water from the aerial parts of the plant.
Okay. What else?
It helps to keep the plant cool.
Hmm. Okay, Nabila, would you like to add something to it?
It's just, yeah, transportation of water.
Okay. The last question is explain double circulation.
Double circulation takes place in humans in four-chambered hearts, and it's when there is oxygenated blood going and deoxygenated blood going as well, and it is not mixed, so that's why it happens twice.
Okay, Samhita, would you like to add something to it? Anything else?
Double circulation is when the blood passes through the heart twice in like one cycle.
What else?
It's usually found in mammals.
Okay, it is usually found in mammals and in
In mammals and birds.
okay. All right. Okay, students.